All right, so you're back with WTNF, and behind us we have, somebody tell me who we have back here.
Notre Dame Club of Greater Sarasota.
Notre Dame Club of Greater Sarasota. Real quickly, your daughters went to Notre Dame, both graduated, have MBAs. So how have you gotten involved philanthropically with Notre Dame?
Well, you know, Notre Dame's very special to my family. My two daughters not only went to Notre Dame, they're both double domers. They went back, and I wanted them to go to Duke at Carolina for their masters. They decided they wanted to go back to Notre Dame. And on top of it, they married two Notre Dames. In fact, my one son-in-law, Thomas Krug, right now, I play quarterback at Notre Dame. He's the youngest United States Circuit Court judge in the state of Florida, right here in Sarasota and Manatee. My other son-in-law, his office is right up the road. He is a hand, shoulder, elbow surgeon, Dr. Chris Forzo, and they both went to Notre Dame. And then I ruined the value of their degree at Notre Dame because in '97 they gave me an honorary alum degree. So I got an honorary alum degree, and my daughter said the value of my degree just went south with you getting a degree there. But we love the university. We have scholarships there in our name, Lorraine and I get a chance to meet some great kids who apply. The scholarships for any student athlete at Notre Dame that doesn't participate in an activity that gives full rides. Like, for example, people eligible, the band, the cheerleaders, the mascot. All those people can apply because they get no financial aid, and yet they put in hours after hours. So what they do is they take the money off our endowment, the interest off it, and distribute it to these kids.
And let's get the amount out there because it's quite impressive. It's $1 million. Would you like to make a nice nice round amount like that?
Well, you know, it's $1 million. It's probably will be worth way more than that because they invested so well. They do a great job investing those dollars. You know, Doug, it's not so much the $1 million. The fact that I love young people and I love kids chasing dreams. And kids at Notre Dame have put together such a resume. It is so difficult to get in. In fact, today when I leave here, I'm trying to get a youngster in from Manatee High School. He's #1 in the class, Chris Lehman, #1. He has never been not #1 for 4 years. He's got phenomenal ACT scores, and he belongs at Notre Dame, and that's his first choice. But it is a difficult school to get in, so the kids there are really quality, and we love helping it. And we love helping ODA as well. My grandkids go there, and they just built a student center, which we made a big contribution for that.
Yeah, great. All right, so we'll segue to the V Foundation. And probably we don't need to prompt you with any questions here. And thanks, Notre Dame, Finding Irish Folks.
Cheer for old Notre Dame. Wake up, let's hear you sing. Come on, little. The best fight song in all of sports. Sorry, Michigan. Right. Sorry, Hill to the victors.
All right, so the V Foundation. Tell us, you know, what it means to you.
Well, it means a great deal. You know, I watched Jimmy Valvano. I worked with Jimmy over at ESPN. That's when we became really close. I wasn't as close to him when he was a coach as it was when he started working. And I watched the pain he went through. I will never forget one night in particular, he called me to his room. We're at ESPN. Jimmy wanted to work right till the end. Right till the end. I went to his room, he had shorts on. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he jumps out of his bed and starts punching the wall, screaming. He said, take your worst toothache, run it through your body. That's what I feel. And what Jimmy didn't want to do, they wanted him to do morphine to fight the pain. And he thought that was an admission that it was over. He said, I'm not doing it because I'm going to beat this. He kept saying, I'm going to beat this. And finally, he got to the point he had no choice, had to do the morphine. And I watched that pain, and I vowed no human being should go through that. So I've become obsessed now, especially for kids. My gala, as you see, here's a picture of 12 kids. These 12 youngsters have been with at my gala, or their families been with me at my gala. All 12 lost their life to cancer. Beautiful kids. I spoke at his funeral. I speak all over. I do a lot of motivational talks, corporates, black tie events. It was the toughest speech ever. Standing there watching a mother and father put their child to rest. And I'm not going to let Adrian and Lacey and Peyton and all these kids, Johnny and right down, Justin and Lucy, I'm not going to let these kids be forgotten. So my goal is to raise money for pediatric cancer. I beg anybody that's listening, you got a healthy child, you are blessed, man. You're a billionaire. And I tell you this, I tell you if you're blessed, please make a donation. Go to DickVitaleOnline.com. You'll see a picture of me with a little girl, Lacey, and through that picture, you click it, and you'll make a donation through the V Foundation.
Dick, when you stood on that stage, I know we got to wrap it up eventually. When you stood on that stage in 1993 with Jim and he made that famous speech, did you think it would come to this level, the V Foundation? How much have you raised over the years?
V Foundation for research,
Right.
actually in research, because we're proud that every dollar people give, every dollar for research goes to research. We have an endowment, $17 million endowment that pays all the administrative costs of running the foundation. And Charity Navigator, which rates foundations, has rated the V Foundation the highest, a 4-star rating. But getting back to that night, Doug, I was mesmerized because during the day, Jimmy was in a wheelchair, throwing up. Mike Krzyzewski and I looked at each other the night of the event. How are we ever going to get him on the stage? I mean, to say, I thought he was going to come up there. In fact, if you watch his speech, I'm standing 2 feet away from him the whole time because I'm shocked. We didn't think we could get him up on the stage. We got him up. I thought he was going to say, thank you, accept the Arthur Ashe Award. I was introduced by Dustin Hoffman, introduced me, talked about Arthur Ashe, and then I introduced Jimmy. And I thought Jimmy would just say, thank you, take them. He went on for 25 minutes, electrified the crowd. And it's one of the most stirring speeches I have ever heard. And a funny part about it, as fluent as he was and as dynamic as he was that night, I called him up less than 12 hours later. He flew home that morning. I called him up to let him know when I came here to where I lived here in Sarasota, Bradenton area, my voice messages were off the charts with coaches calling, saying, we had no idea Jimmy was that sick. Tell him this. So I called him up, and his wife says, he can't come on the phone. I said, Pam, I got to talk to him. I said, I'm telling you, he can't come on the phone. He's barely audible. He's in his room crying. And probably was the last conversation I ever had. I said, get him on the phone. So he got on the phone. You could barely hear his voice. They got 12 hours earlier, he is on there. I said, Jimmy, you were so good, man. All the coaches are calling. I said, Jimmy, you got to keep fighting. He said, I can remember his word. Dick, you can barely hear his word. Dick, love you, man. But it's over, man. And I start crying. He started crying. He said, I'm not going to see my little girl graduate grammar school. I'm not going to walk my daughter down. And I'm trying to give him this encouragement. And he died a couple of months later. Yeah, a couple months later he died. But what a legacy. Over 150 million. To me, the great thing about an individual living a life, if you affect other people's lives for generation after generation, that is making an impact. And that is what Jimmy has done with the V Foundation. We have raised over $150 million. That's right now in research for breast, colon, prostate. Pediatrics now is mine. Pediatrics, everything I raise is for kids. Because if I told you this, it's sad. You should do a column on it, man. Editorial. 4% of every dollar raised in cancer research goes to kids. That's a crime. That is a flat-out crime. They had all Children's Hospital, Dickie V Day. My wife and I went up there. They brought all these kids their ages, and they had me read to them. And when I got done, they were jumping, running. I said to the head pediatrician and the doctor there and the nurse, I don't get it, man. These kids look healthier than my grandkids. I said, all the kids you read to, brain cancer, neuroblastoma, leukemia. He said, I was going to a Rays game. And he said, no, Dick, their parents ain't going to a Rays game. They sit here from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night every day, praying, hoping, and dreaming for a miracle to help their child. There's nothing worse than watching a child do chemo, radiation. It's brutal, brutal. So I beg you, donate. Go to DickVitaleOnline.com, make a donation. You may save the child you love.
And that's going to be your legacy. Not the basketball announcing, but the cancer research, correct?
I hope so. You know, I want to make an impact on people. I'm in the last stage of my life. I'm 76 years old, and I told Lorraine, I will beg and I will plead as long as the man upstairs gives me energy. I will beg and plead. See, the one thing I have an advantage, being in the limelight a little bit, I can get right to CEOs and the people. And I'm telling you, I get into them. And I'm not afraid to make calls. You know, on top of it, I just had a woman call me the other day. A fella in town here said a friend of hers has just come down, shocked, in her 40s with breast cancer. And I spoke to her on the phone, and to hear her tears and talking about her children and how she's in the 4th stage of breast cancer just tore my heart out. That disease is vicious. This guy's a courageous battler. He's a survivor, and he's made it. So let's give Doug a hand here, man. Doug a hand.
All right, so whenever the applause goes up for Fern, that means we have to
it's
quit.
time to leave.
So thank you, Mr. Vitale. Thank you, Ms. Vitale. We've enjoyed it.
The best show, best
it's
W2. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, we don't.
It's straight
It's
downhill
over.
after
It's
this.
over. So
thank you so
thank
much.
you for showing up, everybody.
Thanks,
thank you.
Sarasota.
Gotta go to
Thank
T.O.,
you.
baby. You guys are awesome, baby.
Thank you.